Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Hope everybody got some coffee and is caffeinated. I think to start off with, the title of our speech today is the impact of AI art, and I think the first impact of AI art is our main artist creates at night. Therefore, he takes naps during the day and misses his speech at BookCon.
That's okay. We got it.
We're fine.
Yeah,
We're fine. Everything's fine.
This is 2/3 of the team.
Exactly. Exactly. Also, if you got some coffee during the break, you saw another impact of AI art. It decorates your coffee now. Everybody get to pick out their cool design. Like, that's legit what AI art has infiltrated into our lives. So we had a fun speech planned of lots of fun pictures of cats. But we wanted to talk more about the progression of the fun technology, the advances that we've had, and just from you guys coming up in the last couple days to me, I kind of changed what this speech was going to be about because so many people were interested in the behind the scenes. They didn't understand the whole process. A lot of people think this is super automated, very easy, and things that we don't have to spend days on, which is very untrue. So we'll give you a little fun behind the scenes, the progression of how this has started, where it is now, all the fun automation that Zhanji has put into Book.io, and how we are truly different and unique from, I believe, any other project out there. And just the quality of the AI, the amount of images of AI, I think we can easily say we are the #1 publisher of AI images, especially in book publishing. So, congratulations to our team for that, and just getting that number of amazing images out there. And it lets you guys have a lot more fun with this company, right? We get to kind of gamify it. It adds to your secondary sales. Nobody wants an ugly cover. I think there's plenty of Discord chat on the ugliest girls and all other fun things that come up on 18 fingers, one of my personal things that I try to not give you guys. So I'll throw it to Zhanji real quick, of somebody who has dabbled in pretty much everything graphics and motion pictures through the last of your 15 years, 20 years of your career. Can you kind of give us a synopsis of what you did before Book.io, and then just how you got into the love of AI art and how you got into actually AI art?
Sure, yeah. I spent 15 years out in LA, mostly doing television stuff. Lots of shows like Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Ancient Aliens, Cops. Movie trailers was a big one. That's where I started getting interested in speeding things up. Because when I was younger, to go faster, I used to drink a lot of Red Bulls. And then you reach a point where you're like, I can't go any faster and I can't drink any more Red Bulls. So then I got into expressions, which basically is coding. Then I went as far as I could go with that and realized I needed to dig a little deeper, which led me into Java. And then having the baseline knowledge of Java, and when large language models started coming around, I was like, well, I could probably talk to this thing and figure out another language, which then I branched out into Python. So I do some internal tooling here for the company that speeds things up, and they just kind of trust me to go at it. I'm like, does anybody want to check this? Is it okay? They're like, yeah, it's fine, it's going faster. Yeah, so AI was really interesting. I think it was a couple summers ago already that one of my friends that works on another show, one of their viewers got access to DALL-E. So he had access to that and showed it to me, and I was like, wow, this is gonna be something. I mean, at the time it was pretty terrible, but I've been in tech my whole life, and I knew that it wasn't going to be long. So that's when I started looking for ways to integrate this into my workflow. And that's kind of what I started. Usually when I want to do something, I'll just make up a random project and create a YouTube channel. And for me, I have the production brain. I'm like, okay, how can I utilize this tool? How can I implement it in my workflow? And how much can I get done in a day? And I think when I had the realization that I could work at Book, the little pet project I was working on, I was doing 75 videos a day that were animated and generated by AI art. And Ben posted on Twitter, he's like, we're looking for an artist. And I was like, oh, yeah, because I had been following the company since you guys, I minted the first Goots. I had, it took me 7 months to realize that I could offer some help here. I was a little slow, but once I realized that, I jumped out of bed, ran to my office, and sent Ben a frantic message. I was like, hey, trust me, I can help you. Just trust me, bro, And so it was great. It took a little bit of time after that, and then once we got rolling, when I come onto a team, I kind of try to figure out where the pain points are or where the bottlenecks are. And I was talking to Sheila, and I was like, okay, what do you guys do for turnaround right now? And I think at the time it was each chain was taking 2 days. So if you guys were minting on 3 chains, that means 6 days, which means somebody was probably working the weekend. And
What's a weekend?
yeah, what's a weekend exactly? We still have some weekend times where we do stuff, but we do it a lot faster now. But I told her, I was like, right away, I bet we could knock this down to hours. And I came on directly after Alice in Wonderland. I think the first book I helped on was Peter Pan, and we got that prepared in 6 hours. And over the course of the last year and a half, about now we can do 3 chains in like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
If that. And a lot of the things that I saw, I was like, well, I can take this off of Billy's hands so he can focus fully on art, because Billy was already on the team and he was already doing stellar art at the time, right? And then I was looking at the issues that Sheila had, and okay, how can I save her time? Because Sheila is all over the place all the time. On top of all this that was going on with all the bookmen, her and Mansky were also planning this event on top of that, which blows my mind. So if I can save either of those two anytime, that's a net benefit to the company. And then also, I don't know exactly what the wizards do, the engineering department, but I know if I can get them that stuff faster, then they can do the sprouting faster, which saves them time, hopefully, so they don't have to stay late. So, yeah, I feel like I need Mansky to ask, what exactly do you do here in the office space thing? Because I've been talking to everybody over the course of yesterday and today, and when I try to answer that question, it's like, well, I kind of do art, and I kind of do some scripting and coding, and I, do a lot of stuff like this, and it's just a little bit of everything to make things go a little bit faster, or a lot of bit faster. And, when you're talking about a company that's looking to grow and has grown as fast as you guys have, I was actually having a conversation last night with Josh, and he was telling me how you guys used to do each one of those covers individually and save them out.
Yep. Individual Photoshop files were
Exactly.
each of these covers.
Right.
To put the titles on, to put the bars on. So
To get the blockchain right.
Yeah, and it would take, if we had about 200 covers, it would take about 4 days to get it back from the graphic designer who was doing it. So can you imagine that these days where we're minting 1 to 2 books a day? Some of those are on multiple chains, so sometimes that's like 4 books a day. It wouldn't be possible. It's just not possible.
And some of them have 1,000 plus covers, 2,000 covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Josh was talking about it, and he's like, yeah, we used to do that, and we were doing one, and I was like, and then I came on, and now we do 5 books a week,
Which shouldn't be possible. I saw a great project recently that really made me think of our art team and you specifically, and it was a guy who he trademarked the tagline of fusioneering. So he's fusioning engineering, science, and art together. And I was like, huh, that's exactly what we do. And he's made a robot who goes and paints the code that he does. So instead of it poof come out on AI computers, he has this AI robot actually go and take real paint and paint it. And he's like, I was an engineer, but I loved art, and I figured the more I played with code and made my own robot at home, and I was like, that is Book.io. That's exactly what we do. So I consider the art department very Fusioneers, because you guys literally take code, you yell at your computers, you yell at your keyboards.
A lot.
Enough to make the incredible art that's around this room, right? So, and we use different technology to do this, right? It's not just one program, which is also the beauty of AI, is there is a lot of competition out there trying to get this brand new industry, and so there is a lot of new programs, software. Billy uses a lot of Stable Diffusion, things that you guys are like, how did he do that? I can't get Midjourney to do some of this stuff. That's because he has literally gone into Stable Diffusion and taught AI what some of these things are. So can you talk about that, what the different modules in Stable Diffusion, how we use those?
Yeah. So Billy does Stable Diffusion. My attack side of this has always been from the consumer and not necessarily the prosumer side. So when I was doing that little pet project, I was like, well, what would a normal person be able to use? And Stable Diffusion is not exactly user-friendly to set up. It takes a lot more power, a couple 3090 graphics cards, stuff that a normal person wouldn't have. And I'm kind of placing myself in the shoes of a up-and-coming author, maybe that doesn't have the money to spend on a artist to do one cover for 3, 5, 10 grand, however much it is. So I got really into Midjourney and figuring out how I could utilize that in a workflow that would give somebody that maybe doesn't have a lot of artistic skills the ability to bring their ideas in their book to life. And so I think it was after the Christmas party, I'd had a lot of good conversations with Ben and Josh and some of the other guys, and went home and built something that we use internally right now. But hopefully one day, my vision is that, people that come to the self-minting portal or whatever, they could use it. So you feed your book in there, and it kicks you back some prompts, and you go over it, sort through it a little bit. You got to do a little bit of work. It doesn't do it all for you. And you can...
It gives you a lot of prompts.
It does give you a lot of prompts, but I made it... Hundreds of prompts, but I made it as user-friendly as it could be, and you can even edit it before you send it to Midjourney. So it's pretty wild, and it blows my mind. I talk to the guys about this all the time. I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. And I'm sure there's other people that are maybe doing something similar, but they can't be many. And that's what's wild about it to me, and a lot of fun. And so we do that, and so that cut down our time on public domain books, because when we're doing 5 books a week or more, there's usually more, but we're minting 5 a week. If we get a book that nobody's read, well, you can either go to the internet and hope that the cliff notes are good, which, they're not great, or you can run it through here and you can get a really good idea of all the characters in the book, detailed descriptions, and if you want to adjust it, you can still adjust it pretty well,
So that is the goal. As Book.io, we love our creators, right? And we want the world to really emphasize the creators' ability to make their book what they want. So in a world where sometimes it's $3,000 to $10,000 to get a graphic designer to do your cover, if this is your first book, I wouldn't have that amount of money just for a cover. So we really want to give that power back to the creators, and so hence we are making these tools that will be incorporated in the self-publishing portal of, hey, here's my book, and it will, boop, here's some art for you to choose from. We would love to be able to have Billy and Zhanji and myself curate amazing art that is very specific for each book. But imagine the very first day that that portal opens, and every independent author that has been waiting to mint, which I think it's up to like 3,000 on our list now. We can't do 3,000 books in one day, right? So with these kinds of tools, we could literally pump out those 3,000 books very quickly, depending on how quick the author picks the art and goes through all the steps. So that turns into everything that your brain can now multiply into the millions of books that we could actually put out there with unique art covers based on your writings and your stories, and it not cost you thousands of dollars. It's just part of our portal, and you buy a little simple art package with it, right? So it's giving that creator back the ability to really have the full control of their book. And that's the goal. So that's the reason we're creating these tools, is to really have the most amazing self-portal out there once we launch it. And
the control, and also not as high of barriers to get in.
Yeah.
You know, at one point in time, believe it or not, I was a young, struggling artist. And, you know, it can be tough out there. You don't make a ton of money when you start out. So I have that idea of that person or that creator in my mind a lot when I'm working on stuff, because I want to empower people that do have good ideas, you know, and that goes for a lot of things. And that's really what drew me to blockchain, not only bringing power back to the creators, but enabling new creators to get started easier, less of a barrier to entry, because there could be some really awesome stuff out there. Yeah. And, you know, I'd hate for it just to be a money thing for them to not be able to create.
Right. And for those of you going, whoa, I don't want AI to read my book and then it's available in that AI brain, we've actually localized those servers, so it would not be in the worldwide massive AI brain. It would be a local Book.io server that would not be accessible to anybody else in the world. So just
Secure.
to calm any fears, which is a main word that we can actually address in AI art, and the impact of AI art is fear, right? So it's that same, we were talking about this yesterday, it's that whole, it's a new thing. It's a new industry. And so the first thing people do is go, I don't want that. That's scary. Oh, that's inhibiting the way things have been done forever. Mm-hmm. Change is inevitable. You know, look at any industry, right? So things change, but people first address it with fear. So on that, you want to talk a little bit, because we talk to independent authors all day long. I come from representing a lot of romance authors, especially on the marketing side, and they are blackballed still to this day, very much harassed on social media, pushed out of the industry if somebody finds out that their cover is done AI. So in a ever-changing world where hopefully that kind of blackballing and bullying will soon go away and give the empowerment back to that creator to do what they want, what do you have to say on things that actually happen to these authors who just want to put their book out, but they're getting blackballed and they're getting harassed?
As far as the angry mob against AI, yeah, I think it's going to pass. Just like when any new tool comes along, like you said, it's a lot of fear. I have an interesting perspective on it because I was around when Cinema 4D was still kind of new, and at the time, Maya was the industry standard, Maya 3D, and so if you wanted to learn 3D, they're like, oh yeah, it's 20 grand. It's like, well, I'm 18 and I have $2. So, you know, so I taught myself on Cinema 4D because at the time it was the cheaper version. And now I've been in the industry long enough to where that is becoming Blender. Blender is the new free open source. And again, back to the ethos of like crypto, it's open source, and it's just the way things should be going, because there shouldn't be these big walls up to keep people out. And tying that into AI is a lot of the times traditional artists, or just people that aren't even artists, tie time taken to value. And it's odd to me because everything we were told about technology is that it should enable us to be more creative and spend more time with the people or the things that we care about. And so when a tool like this comes out, and I'm all for it, I love technology, the new technology, playing with it, figuring out new ways to do stuff. But a lot of people go, oh, it took me forever to do that. I'm angry that now somebody else can do that, because I feel like it sort of makes them feel less special, and it makes them feel like they wasted their time. And I don't necessarily look at things like that, because I still have all the skills that I've learned over the last 15, 20 years, and now I'm taking this new awesome tool and putting it in my workbench, or whatever you want to call it, in my little side pocket that I can whip out and use. And it's not taken away from those skills or work ethic that I have. What it's enabling me to do is do things like I was just talking about, which is enabling more people to be able to get what they have in their head out into the world. And you don't have to invest all those years. I mean, I've worked on so many TV shows. I've worked on Netflix shows, and months of 18-hour days, and that's not fun. It's not fun. I don't get to spend time with my significant other and my little puppy dog, and it takes me away from those things. And it's not that I don't like what I did. It's just like, hey, if I have a tool that can help me do that faster, that's great. I'm going to embrace it. And so I will be the outlier or the opposing voice to anybody online. I talk to a lot of people online on Reddit or on Twitter, and I try to get their headspace and where they're coming from. A lot of the times, the people that are so against it aren't even artists. They never worked in the industry. They don't understand much. Sometimes, though, I do talk to artists, and it turns into they are fearful of changing most of the time. And instead of having a discussion, they attack me. They're like, well, if you're using AI art, you must be a terrible artist. And it's like, no, I've done it for 20 years, so I must be somewhat okay. So it's a weird time. We will move past it. I mean, the angry mob, we have one every week on Twitter for a different reason and a different thing. And right now, it's just AI art. And so, yeah, when you open up a conversation about that, or I try to tell somebody what I do, it goes one of two ways. They're either angry or interested. And soon, it'll just be interested. And then after that, it'll just be standard. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I drive a car, and you're like, okay, that's not a big deal. That's normal. Yeah, it's normal. So, yeah, and for me too, being interested in blockchain and being really into that, I see the public outrage towards that too. So I really like things that are challenging and new. So when I decided to get into blockchain, and then I got into book, it's like, okay, and now we're incorporating AI art. So blockchain is changing every week. AI art is advancing every week. I'm doing 3 things at the company, while these 2 things that I'm also involved in are changing every day. And it's just like this huge juggling act, while a whole bunch of people are yelling at you like, you shouldn't do that. It's, I don't know. I always compare it to like the switchers at a call center back when phones, were still somebody was sitting back there and plugging in the lines. And I don't recall reading any history documents about the pitchforks and forming unions to make sure that they kept their jobs. It got automated. That job is gone now, and it's like the artistic part of being an artist isn't going to disappear. But if you think it's going to stay the same that it's been forever, I mean, that's just not true. A lot of what I do incorporates plugins. It incorporates 2D, 3D. I mean, shoot. What happened to original photographers when Photoshop came out? Sure, you probably had some people that were like, I'm never going to use Photoshop, it's cheating. And that just, I mean, it's kind of comical to think about now, Yeah.
Even in college, when I was a photographer before Photoshop, I don't know, maybe like the first version of Photoshop was out at that time, we would print out the photos, and then I would sit in the back with the tiniest little paintbrush, and I would literally paint over the flaws on all these photos. So even in old school, there was ways to fix mistakes. Albert Einstein always said that like the greatest scientists were actually always artists as well, and I think that's a perfect explanation of not just Book.io, but of what we do. And it's just that ever-changing world. So I did panic a little when Mansky titled this speech. I was like, oh no, that's that's not a good impact, is what the world sees it as. But it's really just addressing the future. And isn't that what Book.io is doing? We're addressing the future of books. We're addressing the future of technology, of owning our assets. So of course we're going to address the future of art. It's just inevitable. So yeah, do you have any other thoughts or chats about the behind the scenes of how we make all the fun sauce that people? God does not approve.
Yeah, he's against AI for sure. Whoa.
That is the impact of AI art.
This abomination. No, it's been really fun because when I came on, it was like, hey, we need help with art, and like I said, I was like, oh, well, I see some pain points here that we could speed things up, and then we've created this list, and between me and Sheila, she knows about the list, and it'll be like, add this to the list, and a lot of that stuff is stuff I haven't done before when it comes to coding internal tools, and a lot of the guys on the team on the engineering side, I dug deeper into coding and scripting, and it's a really creative process. It's a lot of fun, so I have a lot more respect for that profession, and now that I know a little bit more about it, I can fully grasp how much I still don't know and be even more impressed by what they're doing on the back end. It's just really cool, it's super interesting.
I was gonna say, like, that's what every biz dev guy wants his employees to do, right? Is find out how to go faster, make the company more money, be more productive. So it's all about where's our lag, how to go fast, go fastest, and that's every
funny.
day.
It's funny you say that, yeah, because everybody against AI art, like that is that's every production job I've ever been in, every show. Faster, 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 which, that was writing expressions, writing code, writing your own plugins. Now it's going to be AI. And so it's back to the whole impact and people being angry. It's just kind of funny to me. I'm like, guys,
it's the future.
It's the future, and this is where we're going. But yeah, it's really cool having so many smart, intelligent people on the team where I can, if I get stumped, I can send them a question. Fetty's helped out a lot. Sometimes I bother RJ, Warren, and them, and the questions I have for them are probably very basic, but the very few. I don't get stumped too often, and it's nice to have them as well because they will give me tips and kind of like, well, you could do it this way, and you can do this that way. So a lot of this production and where we're going is tooling, I guess you could say, especially like when we implemented audiobooks, because those are different formats. So basically now when we do a cover run, when we do a series or whatever book, when I download and format them, I take that directory path and I paste it in the big plugin, which the big plugin started out as a plugin about this big, and now it's a plugin about this big, and it's got 3 tabs, and there's effects, and there's socials, and there's all this stuff. And you plug in the directory, and boom, it sets it all up. The chain, the format, is it a book? Is it an e-reader? Is it an audiobook? So faster, faster, faster means we're going to be able to do more and more and more, and that's what I like. It's challenging, it's fun.
Exactly, and that's the goal, is to be able to serve you guys, to be able to serve all the independent authors out there, and to be able to serve all the publishers and say, yes, give us your catalog, and we can do this. So thank you guys for all your support. Please keep trading and fighting over covers. Keeps us in a job. So we appreciate all you guys loving what we do. We do have quite the obsession with it, and sometimes I spend way too much time photoshopping fingers. So If you find any.
True. It's getting better, though.
It is getting better.
It is getting a lot better.
It's getting better. So, but yeah, thank you guys, and I think that's our time.